My name is Adrienne. I'm with the Haiti Action Committee, and we welcome all of you today to our annual poetry reading. And it promises to be a lovely show. We have a couple of announcements first. You might have noticed that there might be flags at half-staff in the community to honor the life and death of Henry Kissinger. And in order to be in sync with the times, I happen to have picked up from another poet's message, the poet Fernando Peña Torres from Chile, who was a personal victim of Mr. Kissinger in a prison under Pinochet, and who gave us a quote from Jackie Moms Mabley: "You should always say something good about the dead. He's dead. Good." So I think it's also appropriate that we pay a certain homage to Mossab Abu Toha, the Palestinian poet, who is just released from an Israeli prison and who put out a message saying, "I'm safe, but I still have severe pain in my nose and teeth after being beaten by the Israeli army last Sunday. I gave them all my family's passports, including my American son's passport, but they didn't return anything to me. Also, my clothes and my children's were taken and not returned to me. No wallet, no money, no credit cards. Everything was confiscated. I'm in pain." This is the plight of our poets today, and we might wonder, what does a Palestinian poet have to do with the reading at a Haiti Action Committee event? And for an answer to that, I turn to a poem by Leonard Peltier called "Difference." Let us love not only our sameness, but our unsameness. In our difference is our strength. Let us be not for ourselves alone, but also for that other who is our deepest self. Thank you. For our first reading today, we have Deborah Major, who is not only a Bay Area celebrity, but a very well-known artist of the stage as well as the page, and an activist whose poetry contains the same kind of sentiments and elements that we are all here together to be a part of. So, Deborah, please come up.
Hello, pleasure to be here with all of you who are here and all of you in cyberspace. I have a few poems, some history, some Haiti ones, and some hope. My particular family line came from the islands. We came from the islands, from the Bahamas and Jamaica, not Haiti, but all us come across the waters of ours. So this is about that journey. Saltwater crossings. Did our waters of salt breed as we birthed our young? Did we swim in those laughing waves before the wrenching, before the tearing, before the theft? Did we harvest the bounty of her fish to feed our families, and with thankfulness did we offer her fresh flower songs that were swallowed by her crest? We did do. Did we cleanse our wounds in her seeds, and discover our dreams inside those silver midnight waves? Did we listen to the ancestors' guidance as the surf met the sand? Did we know and relish the waters of salt before their arrivals, before our crossings? We did too. We did too. Before we were packed into strange ship holes, chained, naked, and trapped in an evil we had never imagined. We did not know these waters as venom. We learned their sting as they were poured in buckets over our bruised and torn bodies to wash away the stench of blood, feces, and razor tears. Its salt bite was bitter as our homes turned to memory, turned to myth, and then were forgotten. All was salt and moan, soaking through our skin to live forever in the marrow of our bones. We did not see the stars change, did not know when the moon was fierce and full or satiated and hungry. But we knew salt. We ate its curses. We savored its healings. We learned its lessons, and we survived. So these are a few, two old and one not quite baked new Haiti poems. The first is from the, not this latest earthquake, but the really big one before. Statistics of loss, 1. I cannot count but so high without losing my place in the line of the dead who sleep next to the homeless and the hungry, weeping. 2. For 300 years they have paid for loving their freedom as much as they love their gods. 3. Even the doctors are crying, not for the ones who were past saving, but for the ones they could have saved. 4. 10,000 bodies buried in one hole. How large does that hole have to be? How deep? 5. When they dig out the last body from the rubble, will help be found, whimpering and covered in dust. 6. I'm trapped inside a gaping mouth, writing on a screen whose name is Haiti. This is, I was just, thank you. There's so many ways to hurt in these days and times. I certainly have cried a lot of tears over Palestine lately. But these particular tears were when I was watching the news of the Haitians who were trying to get into the United States from Texas. And that's a long journey to make that one doesn't make if one doesn't have to. Southern border overseers. They've crossed a sea, walked hundreds of miles, sun kissing their glowing obsidian skin. Immigrants with hunger sewn into their bones, a need for freedom born in their DNA, a discipline of work and struggle. An island people seeking a place for their children to sleep without fear, to grow their own dreams. They gather at the border only to see horse reins transformed to whips that once engraved their ancestors' back. The sounds of galloping to recapture them again, return them to sugarcane fields and slaver households, a heart-locked memory sheltered in bloody tears. 300 years, still fighting for freedom, yet still horses, high-hooved, circling, crack, whistle, whip back, crack, whistle, whip back, as if they needed a reminder of slavery's legacy, always hovering inside of liberation's promise. And this, forgive me for any, I was like determined to write a new poem for today. And so I was up late last night, and then I was up this morning. It is still not quite baked, but I brought it anyway. It's called Earthquake Eruptions. It can sound like a truck rumble and rock, or a mountain breaking, these quakes that change the always shifting earth beneath their feet. Somehow Haiti is always erupting again and again, although volcanoes have not made skies fiery or sent lava down to scorch and then feed this Rocky Mountain forest land for thousands and thousands of years. A land thick with green and salt where waterfalls flow down ridged mountains, where bleached white cloth is a color of prayer, wrapping around mahogany auburn and sometimes honeyed skin. Hurricanes flatten and earthquakes raise fragile homes as legislatures feast and police and murder without regard for the people of this land, rich with love where one can see hundreds reach arms to help dig out, rebuild, feed, while they face officials with steel backs and few chinks and mercenary armies directed to shoot when the people call out for help. It is not simply that the people reflect, remember, and are African spirit. It is that they were the first Africans in this hemisphere to stand up, fight back, and win because of their insistence on freedom at whatever cost. And now, storms' teeth grow longer each year, and the sun becomes more fierce as the land once rich with forest loam now dries and cracks, and the sweetest of rivers carries the deadliest of diseases. And yet, the people can still sing, and they can still drum and dance and hold not only hope, but a promise of better days despite a siege of centuries. And I thought so much of what's happening in Haiti, what's happening in Afghanistan, what's happening in Sudan, what's happening in I can go on. The Democratic Republic of the Congo is what I was going to see, comes out of hate, how hate was born. Perhaps you wonder how hate was born. Some say it's always been part of the air we breathe, but this is not true. The first ones wove the cord of our continuum, bubbling with the truth born with the ancestors' echo. One humanity with many hues, one people with many songs, one planet with infinite fruits to be shared. But somehow that cord frayed, and some began to let go when they began to fear each other, began to fear those who pulled away, those who crafted different ways, those who sang other notes, those who beat out to similar rhythms, who savored other spices. People began to fear losing what they held, began to fear not having enough, and pushed aside others to get more, ever more, forgetting the lessons of sharing, betraying the truth of the one human family. They began to smelt hate on fear's blade, thicken hate with fear's tar, etch hate in fear's acid. They began to hate what they feared, who they feared, covered the sludge of hate around their fear, so they could not see fear, so they could not hear fear, as long as they kept the hate viscous, viral, and virulent. They did not seek understanding. They sought only to scorn, to reject, to spurn, to demean, to destroy with their poisoned fruit of hate. And this is where hate now flourishes, like blind white termites eating away at the supporting beams of humanity's structures. All fear does not gestate hate, but hate is always born of fear. Hate's history is long and violent. But if we can all learn again to sing together, one humanity with many hues, one people with many songs, one planet with infinite fruits to be shared, hate will have little to feed upon. And I have two last short ones. This one from a Bob Marley song. I'm not in good voice today, but it's called Down Pressers. Woe to the down pressers, they'll eat the bread of sorrow. You walked on our bones for centuries, turned them to sand, poured into sandboxes for your children to build sand castles. And when the sand became translucent, filled with sunlight burning your eyes, you found more to sacrifice. sent vultures to strip away our skins, and built ladders formed from our ribs, limbs, and skulls, on which you climbed to get a better view of the land you wanted to conquer. And now we rise, joined by some of your children and grandchildren who have eaten of shame and refused to travel the rails you laid with our bones. And each of you who blocks our path, tries to press us back, will be blinded by our brilliance, blinded by our brilliance. And I'll end with this because music is the one thing that always feeds me in the most difficult of times. And this particular poem was actually written, I used to have, I don't have it now, but a boombox that was on the top of a shelf near my bed. And I kept in it John Coltrane's Love Supreme. So if I ever woke up restless, that was what I put on, listening to a love supreme. Coltrane calls for a love supreme, wails a prayer for us to become a chorus of a love that can never become hate, a love that will never fade, sputter, die, a love that has no price tags, a love without asterisks, a love that is not inconvenient, heavy, crude, cliche, a love not found in a bubblegum love song or a steamy romance novel, a love without metaphor because it is not like or as anything except itself, a love that its root is pure as prayer, as song, as gift. A love supreme, a love supreme, a love supreme. I thank you.
Thank you so much. And thank you all here for being here and for coming. And thank you to the Presbyterian Church for offering this lovely space to us. Our next reader, Mr. Dennis Bernstein, hero of the air, host of the Flashpoints program. And the man who has special vision because he can see through the radio wires when the people are calling in. He talks about the beautiful people he sees out there who are now calling in with a pledge. Please welcome Dennis Bernstein.
Wonderful to be here with all of you, with Devora. Beautiful poetry. Avacha is my hero. And it's an honor, really, to be alive and to be able to stand up for what we believe in. I'm going to take this mask off now. My doctor says no, but I say yes. So, I woke up in the middle of the night, and this news article was probably about 30 seconds old. It came out, it's an AP wire, and if those of you who listen to Flashpoints know I'm no fan of the mainstream press. But this is in a very significant, short, little article. I'm going to read it to you. Atlanta, AP. A protester was in critical condition Friday after setting himself on fire outside the Israeli consulate in Atlanta, authorities said. A security guard who tried to intervene was also injured. A Palestinian flag found at the scene was part of the protest, Atlanta Police Chief Doran Scheinbaum said at a news conference. He added that the investigators, this is the important part, and this is a unique part of reporting. So I honor the AP guy who wrote this one. And he added that investigators did not believe there was any connection to terrorism, and none of the consular staff was ever in danger. Quote, "We do not see any threat here," he said. "We believe it was an act of extreme political protest that occurred. Protesting Haiti along with Gaza and indigenous rights. That was the protest." I added the last line, by the way. But I don't know if you remember, the Vietnam War began to end when the Buddhist monks started to light themselves on fire. Brian Wilson, who some of you may know, was run over by a train resisting the death squad, support of the death squads in El Salvador. I had a chance to talk to Brian about all of that and about the nature of immolation as the highest act of resistance, not a crazy act of somebody out of their mind. Brian Wilson told me he was in Vietnam as a captain prosecuting a US war when his high school graduation mate set himself ablaze in front of the White House. And that is what changed everything for Brian Wilson. And so I'm honoring the action that was taken by this person who was willing to give up their life. They survived. They're still alive. But I wanted to share that with you all because I think it's a turning point in our resistance. I don't think many of you would be able to guess that I come from a long line of rabbis. My grandfather, Alta Saul Pfeffer, his name was on the matzah boxes where it said kosher for Passover. He blessed matzah and wrote prayer. And he had 9 children, 7 women and 2 men. And the politics sort of went right down the middle. Before my mom died, the only way she would have the family over if there was a vow that we wouldn't discuss Israel. I've got 17 cousins in Israel who, it wouldn't be an exaggeration to say, hate my guts. They wish I was dead. So it's a family thing. I'm going to start off with this poem. It's called Doing the Numbers. 2, 3, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. Aunt Carrie had 7 blue numbers tattooed under her left forearm. When I was 8, I tried to add them up to see what the sum total was. She stopped me in the middle and paused. These are the numbers that taught me to count on nothing. Doing the numbers. So while my grandfather was an extraordinary visionary writing stuff that I would never understand, my father was a black marketeer, gambler. He had a taxi cab, but it was a floating gambling den. And I met all kinds of interesting people. This is called Cover Story. My wise guy, barber, got his throat slit. He used to snip locks in Hell's Kitchen. He took over Nicky Licko's Star Cuts for Less after Nicky started passing red and Doc Jacobs gave him a death sentence. That's when Nikki sold the pole hook, line, and scissors to Brooksy Rizzo. But Brooksy dipped in too deep with short stuff, a shyster bookie from Queens, and ended up reclining headless in one of his own patent leather chairs with his skull in his lap, wrapped in that day's edition of the Daily News. Something to count on. I write short poems and very short poems, so if they're bad, you don't have to last too long. Something I could count on. There were 2,000 red bricks that made up the front facade of the high school I would eventually drop out of. I counted them on a daily basis as I waited for my father to come pick me up after school in his yellow checkered taxi cab. Some days, when he was on a roll at the races or the casino, I counted them twice or 3 times. I loved knowing that whatever tragedy befell us as a result of Daddy-O's dance with chance, there would always be 2,000 red bricks on the wall to keep me counting on something. And so, my father had problems, but he was a gentleman. He could fight like hell, but he would never touch us. He would never even raise his voice. He was a very gentle, if you will, war hero with a couple of Bronze Stars. And I missed him. So this is a poem about the last time I saw him. You know that sense you have sometimes when you're in the middle of a situation and you know if you even begin to talk, you're going to cry. And you just sort of sit there right at the edge. And I came into the emergency room, hospital room, and I didn't realize my father was that close to dying. Put my glasses on so I can really see what I'm reading. Forgive me. This is called Strong Medicine. The night before he died, he craved for ice cream on a stick. He swore he heard the bells outside, the truck across the street. Could I sneak out and buy a round for all of us, his treat? There was no truck across the street, no crisp bells crackling, but the canteen in the basement did have 2 dusty old machines dispensing pops and cones and cups. I filled the slots with coins. At 50 cents a shot, those 2 machines unleashed more vital pain relief that night than the steady drip of morphine clouding father's final scene. Ah, the loot, he beamed and drew a shallow breath and then another. I toast to the bitter and the sweet. He tore the wrapper off his treat before he lost his breath completely. I watched him eat like a kid on the sneak before dinner. That night, as death took a brief back seat to a chocolate-covered ice cream bar on a stick. So, as I mentioned, my mom, I think 6 sisters and 2 brothers. I had 7 mothers. They were all extraordinary women. My mom wrote poetry. That's how I fell in love with poetry. And believe me, you didn't want to get a poem from her taped up on the water fountain where she worked, because she was fierce. Her language, her poetry was her weapon to sustain herself, single mom for part of the time. Anyway, it's in parts. It's called Notes from a Freewheeling Orderly. Last load. Mother says she's had enough. She wants to throw in the towel, but not until it's washed and folded with the rest of her dirty laundry. Preventative medicine. The doctor on duty the night my daddy died mispronounced his death. Mama isn't taking any chances. She paid her own specialist to pre-record hers in Yiddish with a Brooklyn accent. Methuselah. She called the cops today when I tried to drop off her meds. She described me to a desk clerk named O'Rourke as a short, pudgy intruder with a shiny head and a beard as long as Methuselah. And where's the other part of this? Oh, Passover questions. Mama takes her food through a feeding tube now. She wants to know if it's been blessed properly for Passover. She also wants to know how you steal the matzah from a feeding tube. Real quote. Role reversal. I'm the baby of the family. I change my mommy's diapers and rock her to sleep in my arms. In the last part. Last hours. Her skin crumbles underneath my fingertips. I anchor her down with a feather to keep her from floating away. This is from my mom and dad. Dancing across the great river. At 90, they rose up out of their wheelchairs and danced, rose up the way herons rise over a smoky mountain lake, the way angels rise in the late afternoon daydreams of visionaries, and they danced right at the boiling point, sure-footed into new beginnings. Thank you. Tell me a joke and hold me. Things to remember when I'm dying. Fill the room with friends and loud music and lots of rich food, 14 layers of sweetness. If I say something mean or self-centered or start to bitch too much, shush me with a poem or a song. A lullaby would be nice, or a nocturne, or some generous, loving silence. But remember, the last sense to go is the hearing, the most passive, of course, but also the most expansive. So talk to me, whisper, shout if you have to, or hum. Tell me a story or a terrible joke that I have heard and told 100,000 times. And, thank you. I'll just read you this little ditty and say goodbye. And what a pleasure. I want to say, Pierre, I'm going to read two poems because I have one poem called Pierre. So I'll end with that. But Pierre Lebossier is a hero of mine. He's an extraordinary advocate for the Haitian people, compelling and unrelenting. And I don't know how many years, I can't remember when we met, Pierre, but I'm glad that we did. And we're going to be friends. We're going to go all through it together, that's for sure. So I wanted to say that. And, where's my book?
On the floor right here.
Oh, that's right. So I'll just read this one poem. It's short. It's from my book, Special Ed. This is based on kids I taught in East New York and the South Bronx in a so-called emotionally disturbed program. They were emotionally disturbed kids. I was an emotionally disturbed teacher. You know, it's sort of, the story is, I used to try and keep them awake 40 years ago, and they are still in my dreams, keeping me awake today, falling off their chairs, begging me to tell their stories. So I tell their stories. This is called No Tongue and Cheek. No tongue in cheek. And I discovered from my friend Avacha that both of us ended up writing a poem. We wrote them 3,000 miles on different coasts about this woman, Alert Balance, who the Haitian death squads tried to cut her tongue out. They weren't successful, and she went on a speaking tour. Talk about courage. No tongue. I don't know. These days, I always feel like I'm on the edge of tears because of such suffering happening in the world. And I know most of us aren't sleeping well. But it's just, the person taking their own life for freedom of Palestine. It's just a certain time in history that we're all feeling and witnessing, and something is happening. No tongue in cheek. Pierre's on the run from Haiti. He had to leave in a hurry when the soldiers came to cut his mother's tongue out. He says they took her tongue because she talked too much. But Pierre could never get enough. Even when she scolded him, it was kisses. Some nights he dreams about his mother's tongue, flies it around like a magic carpet. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much, Dennis. We're going to pause with the poems for a few minutes to have a few words from Pierre Lavoisier, the very one. Will you come forward, Pierre?
Hi everyone, good afternoon. Always a pleasure and a great honor to be among you and those beautiful, beautiful poets who are here. Deborah Major, Dennis Bernstein, Avacha, really fantastic. My good friend Val Sorant, yes, they deserve a good round of applause. And thank you very much, Adrian Ewan, for your readings, and that was very powerful. I want to acknowledge Pastor, the pastor of the church, who's right there, being a very, very, very super supportive, Pastor Max. Thank you so much, Pastor, for making us feel welcome. All right, that's the spirit. Okay. So I was told to make it very fast, and I'm going to do that. But I had to tell you that Haiti, people in Haiti, many of my friends, they know that this event is happening today, and they are very, very appreciative and thankful. I'm so glad that Mark is recording this so that we can project it again and again so that many, many more people can access the beautiful poetry and the beautiful spirit of love and solidarity that is present right here among us today, and that will be out there. The struggle in Haiti, many times I hear, oh, it's complicated. And I want to go straight into saying, no, it's not complicated. It's a story, as Avacha had mentioned, yesterday I was on the show with her and also on Dennis Bernstein's show. As Deborah Major had mentioned in a poem, it's not complicated. It's human beings, people trying to make a life of dignity for themselves. People whose ancestors, our foremothers and our forefathers, were kidnapped from the African continent from our homeland and brought to toil in the fields and make millions of dollars, millions of English monies, the French monies for those big families who call themselves civilized, and they are the ones who to live a life of luxury over their blood, sweat, and tears. That's what they lived through. And when they got to toiling in those plantations, when they survived the Middle Passage, they were resisting throughout. On the plantations, they resisted. Some fled to the mountains. But they came together over time. They never gave up. That dream of freedom kept them going. They never gave up. And so over time, 1791, they finally, all their efforts, they had to work hard at it. The women leaders, the men, they rose up together and declared themselves a free nation, an independent nation. That was 200 plus years ago. What does that have to do with today? Their dream, they had a plan for the future of themselves and their children, their progeny. And this is their dream, the plan that they had set forth, to have a land of love, a land of human dignity, a land where people would be respected, where their children could live free and run around, eat mangoes and go to school and have access to all the things that human beings, that children need to have, and that men and women, grown people, adults, the elderly must have to live a life of dignity. And this is what the struggle in Haiti is about today. It's to complete the Haitian Revolution. And so today, one group, that is one organization that embodies that spirit of the Haitian people, of our foremothers and forefathers, is none other than the Famille Lavalas political organization, founded and headed by President Jean-Bertrand Aristide. He's not the president right now. He was overthrown in a bloody coup d'etat by none other than the US, working with a coalition of imperialists calling themselves the United Nations. And they've been in Haiti imposing a regime of terror on the people of Haiti for the past 20 years, going to be 20 years in February, since 2004, when they did that coup d'etat. The people of Haiti they didn't accept the regime of terror of the French, and they are not going to accept, they didn't accept it under the Duvalier, they didn't accept the regime of terror of the Americans when they invaded in 1915, and continue to invade using the so-called, what you hear in the press is called gangs, but they are not gangs, they are death squads. They are people who are armed by weapons coming from the US. They are people who are enabled by none other than the United Nations, by the core group of countries, about 9 of them, that have formed this group that determine every day what's going on in Haiti. And people are resisting that as well. So what we are today in solidarity with is the resistance of our sisters and brothers in Haiti to change that odious system that continues to persevere. That's why in Haiti, the people see their struggle today very similar to the struggle of the people of Palestine for their freedom, for peace, and a life of dignity. Fascism, it doesn't matter the border, whatever you call it, or whatever the name you put on it, it's fascism. And people who have lived under fascism, they recognize it for the beast that it is. And it's the same fascism that is terrorizing our brothers and sisters in Haiti, the same fascism that they are trying to impose on the people of the United States. People beware, because many times people say, the Germans used to say this could never happen in Germany. How wrong they were, because Hitler came on very quickly. There is an insidious way that they work themselves to control and determine. And in Haiti, at one time when Trujillo was in power in the Dominican Republic, terrorizing the people there, many of the Haitians used to feel, oh, this could never happen in Haiti. But Duvalier crept up. and has wrecked the country. And Duvalier was made up, he was an agent of the US. And that's what we've been living under. So I wanted to hold up this book as a tribute to the famille Lavalas. It's called Investir dans l'humain. This is what the Haitian people are fighting for. It's a program of investing in people. That's what it means. Investing in people in terms of building housing, building schools, building hospitals. Having love being the thing that holds the community together, where we look out for each other, where we are in solidarity with each other, because we love each other, we respect each other, having a place of peace. That's what this program is all about. And that's what was so odious to the US governments under Bush, the father, under the Clinton administration, under Bush the son, and continuing to the present, under Obama and Joe Biden. It takes we, the people, to rise up in solidarity with the people of Haiti to say no to fascism. Because when they export, they're exporting fascism to Haiti. And this is what we need to stand together and understand and fight against. So I want to close right now. I want to hold up two other books because people need to fight, to be armed, to fight against the brainwashing that's going on in the corporate media. To know about Haiti, I recommend this book by Randall Robinson. He passed away, I believe, in May, or probably earlier, the great Randall Robinson, former president of Trans-Africa. The book is called An Unbroken Agony, Haiti, from revolution to the kidnapping of a president. This is, I keep talking about it because this is one of the best books on Haitian history, aside from C.L.R. James, The Black Jacobins, which is a must-read. This one is also a must-read. They go together. The other book is written by President Aristide himself. Don't let the small size of this fool you. Every word is a power. And Eyes of the Heart. So the title itself tells it to you, Eyes of the Heart. Seeking a path for the poor in the age of globalization. Can you think of that? And the Clinton administration didn't like that because this went against globalization. That's one of the reasons for the coup. Finally, this is a book that we have gotten for our poets. It's called Masters of the Dew, D-E-W, by the great Jacques Roumain. Jacques Roumain was the founder of the Haitian Communist Party. He only lived for he was 34 years old when he passed away. But this is a story of solidarity. This is a story centered, I won't tell you too much about the book, but just enough to pique your interest. If you want to know about Haitian culture, the struggle, solidarity, working together, people working with each other for the betterment of Haiti. To understand Haiti today, read this book, because it's going to tell you how the Haitian people are today, just as in the old days, worked in solidarity with each other against a system that was oppressing them and going through all the little disunity that they tried to promote. And the people were able to work through that and build a canal to bring water to their environment where that had no water, and how this created a new life. So where we are right now in Haiti is at this point where we don't have water. What I mean by that is in the more figurative sense. We don't have that source of life, but how through solidarity, us working together with each other, we are building this new life, as Jacques Roumain explained in this book, Masters of the Dew. So it's a must read, and we want to give that to our poets today. So we want to thank you very much, and I'll stop right there. Be in solidarity with us. I know there is one burning, if you allow me, Adrian, one question. People are like, yeah, but the gangs in Haiti, isn't it a good thing that Kenya is coming? No, we are denouncing it. On behalf of the Haiti Action Committee, on behalf of our sisters and brothers in Haiti, people do not want any Kenyan troops. We do not want any US, we do not want any French, we do not want any United Nations, nor CARICOM troops to come to Haiti. The people of Haiti can take care of this business. What these so-called gangs are, they are nothing but weaponized young men and women in Haiti who've been put in a situation of starvation. When President Aristide and Famila Vala's government were establishing schools and training opportunities for young people so that they would use their energies and their talents to develop Haiti, to develop their environment and live a life of dignity, the US, as the leader of the UN, was busy destroying everything that was being accomplished, including shutting down the University of the Aristide Foundation, UNIFA, a place of learning, turning it into a barracks. President Aristide had disbanded the military, destroyed all the weapons that existed. But right now, Haiti is awash with weapons of war brought from South Florida, brought by the US. And all of those training, all of those so-called gangs, they are death squads, paramilitary death squads that are burning down houses, good, beautiful homes that President Aristide and the Famille Lavalas party have built for the people of Haiti. Places like Onaville, in La Saline. And those so-called gangs are busy burning down those houses that were built to give people a place of dignity where they could live and send their kids to school. Schools are being closed, are being shut down by those so-called gangs working for the government of Haiti. Why? The basic reason? It's because Haiti is full of mineral resources. They want to chase the people out of those lands. They don't want to compensate them. They want them to run away. And they want, the only way to do that is by terror, terrorizing them, burning down their homes, and that's what's going on today. So again, your solidarity coupled with the resistance of our sisters and brothers, this is what is going to make a difference. And since this is a fundraiser, I want to say that you can go to the Haiti Emergency Relief Fund, HaitiEmergencyRelief.org, HaitiEmergencyRelief.org. I have a leaflet here that says no to another invasion of the US in Haiti. There's a QR code where you can make your donation, HaitiEmergencyRelief.org. That money goes to support local community initiatives, women farmer cooperatives, farmer cooperatives, local clinics, local schools, scholarships for people who are the children of activists who've been forced into hiding or have lost their parents. We can't help everyone, but we try to help as much as we can. And also, as you heard from Mrs. Aristide when she was in town a month ago, she talked about the tractor, that through HERF, the tractor that was provided for the agricultural school of the University of the Aristide Foundation. And your funds have contributed also to the building of the teaching hospital of UNIFA, the University of the Aristide Foundation. So I could go on a list, but this is what your solidarity is contributing to. So I invite you to stay in the struggle, stay with us, call on the White House, tell them to stop their destructive policies against Haiti, tell the head of the UN to stop their destructive policies against Haiti. But we also have to practice direct solidarity with our sisters and brothers in Haiti, in the spirit of Jacques Roumain, in the spirit of the masters of the do. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Pierre. We don't want you to forget that today is a fundraiser for the people of Haiti, and we have a basket to be passing around. And if you can make an additional contribution, that would be greatly appreciated.
Okay, there we go.
And let me introduce our next poet of the day, Avacha.
I am overwhelmed. I'm grateful that you're here. I'm surprised that it's not 20 times you here. But those of you who are listening to us on Zoom or wherever on the web, please tell folks that this is happening and this is unbelievably important. I'm so grateful to be part of this. My kind sister, Devorah Major, what can I say? Give her a big hand. My co-worker and friend, Dennis Bernstein, come on. My dear brother from another mother, although maybe because Poppy got around, and I don't know, he might be one of those offspring, so you might in Haiti, the great Pierre Lavoisier. And this gentleman here from Cacariqua, Trinidad and Tobago, another one of my brothers from another mother. I want to give you a couple of poems. This whole thing just is, what can I say, it's overwhelming. It makes me unbelievably sad. I had Pierre, as he said, on the program yesterday, and then we were both on Dennis Bernstein's program, and they both floored me. I did not have any idea that the Kenyans had been co-opted into this madness. And I've been crying for a couple of days. That really breaks my heart. I've been an admirer of powerful, powerful women from Kenya for many, many, many years. And I know that the average person in Kenya is not part of that madness, but it's just sad. It makes my heart bleed. So I have a couple of poems for you. In fact, I was only going to do 3, but I think I'm going to make it 4. This first one, Dennis mentioned Alet Belams. I walked into the station one day to do a program, and I saw this woman who had been sliced up sitting in the hallway waiting to go into Dennis's program, and it was Alet Belams. I stopped dead in my tracks and started crying. And then when I found out what had happened to her, it blew me away. So this poem that I write is dedicated to her and several other Black women who have been inspirations for me. As sisters, we've gotten bad rep. Ooh, we're tough. Yes, we are. I accept that. We are tough. We've had to be. We've had to be. But we're also gentle and a bunch of other things. So this is called Cactus Flower. Because some beautiful Native American brothers in New Mexico said once upon a time when I was very, very, very heartbroken, that's what I was. And that blew me away. So for all of us, and especially for Alet Balance, Cactus Flower. The cactus, a remarkable plant, sister to Black women, who too have been made prickly and hard on the outside, but somehow still remain on the inside soft and gentle. And where there is no visible water, you can always drink from her. For she is a reservoir of water and life, even in the driest and deadliest of deserts. And when you need protection, you can always depend on her. But she is as dangerous as the angry machete and when hunger strikes. She is the finest and tastiest of food. She is at the same time both medicine and nourishment. The cactus is strong and unbelievably adaptable. She is strong and unbelievably adaptable. It is impossible to destroy her. As she is self-sustaining when necessary, she leaves her seed everywhere, and her children go under any and all conditions. She blooms in both the snow and the nighttime, and the flowers are always beautiful. She is indomitable. I say, she is indomitable. She is indomitable. All this is to say, Cactus Lady, congratulations, my sister. Congratulations, my sister. You deserve 2 awards. One for your art, which feeds our soul, and another for your cactus-like endurance, which feeds our dignity and pride. Oh, mama, you have spread your seeds well. Yes. Yes. I have been an admirer of Haiti for many, many years. As one of Garvey's many children, I was very aware of Haiti and Gaspar Yanga in Mexico and all of these amazing freedom fighters, some of which most people haven't heard of and should know about, like Yanga and what have you. And, you know, they've been paying the price. Haiti has been paying the price for all of us. Because the truth of the matter is, all of those freedom fighters that you don't know of, if you get my book, you'll get a whole bunch of their names. But every place there people have been enslaved, there have been rebellions, a lot of which have been successful, but you don't hear about them. They don't want you to hear about them. And all of this madness that's going on, they can call it whatever they want. It's apartheid. By any other name, it's apartheid. There's some people who really love the idea of slavery, and they can't get over the fact that we ain't going for it. You know, wherever we are not going for it, and wherever we have been, people are still fighting about that. The Haitian people are still fighting for that, about that issue. They're still fighting about this obsession with keeping us enslaved, you know? So this next one, when I heard about the madness that happened in IT a few years ago, I wrote this thing, Indestructible or Indestructible, Haiti Mystic Garden of Dreams. I've talked to Haitian friends of mine who told me about their grandparents telling them about the island when it was covered with all kinds of lush greenery, which has been completely chopped down and destroyed and what have you, and the richness of the island, which has been desecrated. I want to dedicate it to all those beautiful people who have not given up and say, hell no, slavery got to go. Mama Haiti. I say, Mama Haiti, beautiful, magical incubator, mother of miraculous visions, you are the sacred womb of our freedom, still infused with the spiritual integrity of Bukman. You are the divine light, the driving force, the seed that fed the dreams of Anacaona and Toussaint Louverture. You are the intangible source that ignites the fire inside the underlying unifying sincerity of Jean-Jacques Dessalines. The promise in your voice cuts through steel, a mystical machete that sings through rah-rah prowess, and the whole world drinks your tears, trying to wash themselves clean on your pain, Mama Haiti. The fiend of greed may have tried to destroy your economy and blindly deforest the wealth of your souls. They may have desecrated your rice fields, but you always bounce back, you always bounce back, you always bounce back, you always bounce back. You are the light. And right now you shine on the newest incarnation of The Emperor's Got No Clothes. Your unbreakable spirit is so powerful that even his story blushes at the whispered international embarrassment of having to admit defeat at the hands of determined black peasants, defeat of the world's strongest armies, defeat a bitter pill, and off-key soundtrack, salt in the wounds to accompany the fall of an empire, and you're still paying for it? Paying for an evil not of your making, still paying in bloody deprivation for that behind whipping that left Napoleon crawling. Beautiful IT. Sacred womb of freedom, hold on. I say, hold on, the emperor has no clothes and you are the light. The whole world finally sees right through the obscenity of his nudity, and is not a pretty picture. Majestic IT. Proud incubator of independence, I too bathe in your sorrow. But after so long eating from the bowl of poverty, there is no hurricane or earthquake strong enough to re-enslave you. You may be stunned, knocked down for a minute in shock, but they will never, 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 ever knock you out, just like they couldn't lock you out of the palace gates. The proofs in the memory of the strength of your piss, a communal gift of poor folks' piss. Poor folks' piss eating its way through the aluminum-plated greed of sanctimonious despots. And we will not see you be defeated, Mama Iti. You are our Che, our never-ending, unbeatable spirit of freedom. You are the light. Your spirit is immortal, and this time, the best of humanity is ready to help you be reborn. I got a book here, and anybody who gets one, I'm taking $5 and giving it to the fund to help IT. This thing is called The Rhythm in Us. And, I think before I do that one, let's see what I'm gonna do. I wanna do this one about the ancestors, because it's a wonderful Ethiopian dicho that says, your most formidable adversary is an ancestor ignored. Ooh, I'm gonna say that again. Your most formidable adversary is an ancestor ignored. So I want to make sure that none of them jump up and say I didn't pay them attention. So, there are a whole bunch of people who paid the price for Devorah, Dennis, myself, and all of us to write our poetry, and it wasn't easy. I mean, people lost their hands so I could write this poetry. That ain't no joke. What can I say about this madness? These people have been on a journey. It hasn't stopped. And so, as I say, these ancestors, I want to let them know that that I remember, and I want to make sure that they pay attention to them. So let me find this poem, and it's called Ancestral Reflections. And they are not only in Haiti, they're in Colombia. You should check on that whole thing with Colombia. They're in Mexico. They're in Canada. They're in China. They're in Suriname. They're in Sudan. And they definitely want us to pay attention and remind folks of the price they paid so a nerd like Avacha could write poems. Ancestral reflections. And with that, I want to call in the spirits of Anacaona, Papa Kenako Sano, Nina Simone Cortijo, Abdulaye, Papa Camaran, Lord Invader, Melba Liston, Sabu Martinez, John Hicks, Olatunji, Linda Hill, Lord Rafael Cepeda, Shirley Horn, Malonga Casa, Lord Eddie Moore, Jim Pepper, Pedro Juan Petri, Hazel Satt, Sunra, Lucho Gatica, Bob Bray, Miriam Makeba, Sylvia Del Villar, Floyd, Red Crow Westerman, Joy Holland, Pearl Primus, Elio Pomare, Alicia Pierce, Arturo Sonberg, Etta James, Ramito, Harris Typestat, Eric Dalby, James Baldwin, Caspar Banjo, Annalene Walker, Pidi Tomas, Jimmy Sabater, Hadid Shahid, and Jane Cortez. Can you feel them? I say, can you feel them? Ancestral suggestion trying to guide us there everywhere, everywhere, walking through us, right beside us there. The essence of us got the intensity of their legacy and everything all over our stuff. They're in us, with us all the time. Our ancestors never sleep. They want us to know all they've known, that all they've ever known, been trying to show us the way so we don't have to fall. They need us to feel them, won't let us go till we let them know we need them. There's still too much work that has to be done. They got their busy fingers in all our business, whether we want them there or not. They're always listening, watching, looking, checking in on us, won't let us forget. Got to make sure their existence made a difference. Can you feel them? I say, can you feel them? They're sitting in on our everything. The ancestors are always here. They're everywhere, making sure that we're making sure their influence is obvious every time we open our eyes. They need us to be aware. They gave their everything for us. They lived and died for us. They smile each and every time they see their lives alive in us. Feel them. Feel them, feel them. They're here, crying for us, singing to us, laughing at us, and right now they're dancing with us as we carry the tradition of honoring their presence and proudly praise and celebrate the vision they continue to give us. The vision they continue to give us. We humbly take on the mantle of the undying strength of their legacy and pray always be worthy of the gifts of their artistry. Can you feel them? Okay, can you feel them? Can you feel them? Insistent ancestral suggestion on top of us, encouraging us there everywhere, agitating, trying through us to make a better way, help us create a better day, hard-headed, gregarious spirits, got their fingers in our everything, relentless and instigating, and they won't go away. They've been in it for the long haul, paid the price for their tickets and commitment and blood, and they're in us always. Always with us. Can you feel them? I ask you, can you feel them? Our ancestors are never asleep, and we gotta make sure their existence made a difference. I want to finish with this poem. It's called The Rhythm in Us. And that rhythm in us has changed music all over this planet. And contrary to popular belief, it's not just the rhythm in us here. Let's get over it. We got family everywhere. This negative little journey, this pleasure trip they call the Middle Passage. They took us all over the place. We don't know who 90% of our relatives are. So, and wherever we are, we're controlling the music. We have changed the music of this planet. So I want to put this out there to those ancestors, and I'm very honored to have worked with a bunch of dance companies as a musician and a poet. And this one was written for Gianna Corda dance company you all should know about. And if you don't, check them out. They're still around doing proud things. And this is called The Rhythm in Us. And before I go any further, Val Saran, give him a big hand. The great Deborah Major. I'm not only jealous of her course, those earrings. She better not put them down because they will definitely be on me next time you see them. My dear friend Dennis Bernstein. Pierre Lavoisier, each and every one of you. Come on, give yourself a hand. Stand up there. So I'll finish with this called The Rhythm in Us. And you know, I don't know what has possessed the folks, the mercenaries that they're bringing in from Kenya, but I really hope that something reaches in their heart and that they jump ship. I really do. I'm hoping and praying to everybody's God and Goddess that they wake up and don't do this. They can't do this. That their mamas do whatever, they gotta spank them or whatever. Do not let them do this. The rhythm in us. In the beginning, I say in the beginning there was only the voice of rhythm, the metrical vibrations of the wind caressing a cocoa palm. A slow, never-ending, predictable pulse, ear candy. The reliable heartbeat of the cosmos, it was God's dance. The medicine in every mother's lullaby, the healing, the rhythm, the deliberate, inexplicable beauty of nature's hand. A mysterious, unnameable something, the hidden but ever-present cadence of a desert storm forever singing to us. It has always been the rhythm keeping us alive, from the beat of our hearts to the call of the drum. The djembe and the junjun dictated the sway of our sisters' hips. And the sensual swagger of our youngsters' walk. Our children strutted their stuff like peacocks, flashing rhythmic wings of go-go queen and rah-rah arrogance. We were wealthy with the joy of creativity and had no need for superficial supplements. It was all about the rhythm. The unifying power of the sound that flowed through us. Our organic music had guts enough to be fun, was nutritional, therapeutic, and shamelessly proud. In the beginning. I say in the beginning, before the concrete clogged our ears, before the foul scent of plastic suffocated the perfume of flowers, even the insects in the trees sang to us. And all the rhythms of the universe called us by name, way back before hungry city lights gobbled up the stars. We moved with the grace of masters on the balafon, kept time in 100 different languages, had our egos put in check by the berimbau, by the drummers and the agogo. It was the rhythm that looked after us. Even when the going got rough and they took away the drum, I said they took away the drum, our fathers went into labor. I say our fathers went into labor and gave birth to steel drums, put us to bed fortified by the spiritual intensity of Mbira, wrapped us in the storytelling prowess of the Kora and Ngoma, told us with a Sabata dream with our eyes wide open, and never forget it was the rhythm, it's always the rhythm, it's always going to be the rhythm, our heartbeat, the master key, the symmetrical healing tonic, a metrical, mystical, rhythmic power that clears a healthy path to total unity, sings nonstop to the core of our soul. This drum call taking us home, and we are reborn in dance. It was the rhythm. It was the rhythm. It's always the rhythm. And never stop supporting Haiti and any of the places where these idiots or vicious snakes decide they want to keep us enslaved. Please, thank you.
Thank you so much. Can we have another round of applause for our doctor? Thank you both. We now come to the open mic portion of our program. Very brief little presentations by local poets. And we also have, we might have people on our Zoom who are participants in this, and we'll try to get the technology right on it. Our first poet in the open mic is Joseph Jason Santiago Lacour, and he's present in the room and will have 5 minutes at the mic.
Force me. Or force the force within me to free itself. Tell my me to be itself. It's okay. Go play in the rain, really. It'll rinse the dirt off the hurt, heavy, soaked in insecurity, curiously forbidden fruit, press it down to juice. Extract impurities, ignition. Fury burns clean and close to home. So wet your stone and hone your focus into an intent to heal. Accept and return. We are meant to feel. We are sent to wield words like swords when fists fail to make them understand. Fire arms over their heads and warn them that the way we have torn them from their mother's judgmental embrace is nothing like the taste of blood in our biography. Ancestors, give us this gift so as to lift the veil from our pale thoughts. Render our ultraviolet spectrum silent. Amidst the chaos, the quiet stands and delivers. Thank you. Cool. So I want to thank Willow for inviting me, and I want to thank all of y'all for caring, for genuinely for caring. When you wake up every day, something that's going to affect change is on your mind. So this is a relatively new cause for me. So I just started writing on this. I woke up this morning with Haiti on my heart. Something in my last names, indigenous ignorance, Spanish, French, a cousin of the colonies, surviving children, I guess, just echoes of a muddy bloodline, pieces of a poet's paradise, lost treasure, mailed. But I understand clear as crystal what fuck you is. And ever since Columbus and his dementors landed and wiped out the Indians, you mean Taino, and built plantations, you mean prisons, for our enslaved African ancestors, the biggest, baddest of middle fingers, the Middle Passage. Savagery is just fantasy until you feel it. We were held, waiting, just outside death's door. Why? Delaying my ancestors' reunion to the tune of your family's fortune, tortured to work your scorched earth in the name of some dude you deem royalty. Why? Why should I pay your debts? Why? Why should I say you're such perfection spoiled by God's greed? The hardest work is harvesting the heart of darkness. The poet reminds us to just rage, to turn this cage into a page in a book full of lies, unburied. Sun marries moon, divorces religion apparently, and gets lost in the sauce. I woke up this morning with Haiti on my heart. Something in my last names, indigenous ignorance, Spanish, French, a cousin of the colonies, surviving children, I guess. Just echoes of a muddy bloodline, pieces of a poet's paradise, lost treasure. Merde. But I understand as clear as crystal who we are. Thank you. Yeah, and I really, I thank you. I really do. If I see you on the street and I recognize you, I'm gonna say thank you. I've recently learned about Haiti and how it's been ravaged since its foundation, fam. Never before, out of all of the countries, out of all of my ghetto education, like I never heard of such tragedy. To the tourist, it's an endless abyss of concrete, broken glass and steel, real green with greed. The streets are like tributaries to various interstate-like waterways, the banks of which are the cracked sidewalks that flourish with life on a whole new level. Vibration. So subtle. By the time you feel it, yeah, you know it's trouble. Trees are evenly dispersed amongst the natives for the purpose of self-maintenance. Some of us find shelter in these leaves and grow too comfortable to leave, so those leaves are then melted and molded into trinkets and trademarks for brave hearts with the rite of passage, like puff puff pass it, only papyrus, no plastic. The overgrowth is drastic. Indigenous peoples are damn near extinct. Think so-called jungle fever, dark and light, blending into shadows, covering the pursuit of our roots. The mating call is hidden proof. Languages hang long and loose from family tree branches, fed by fantasies, captured and capped off with shots of Patron, clapped off till I got you alone off with that cloth. Nothing that soft should be so wrong. The jungle. There's an order to it all. From its barrios and elephants to its guerrilla warfare politics. How volatile a mix of ecosystems, bumping victims, pumping fists and jumping block to block, mocking the back and forth rocking of chameleons. Really, son, do not come here unless you're from here. See, I left the jungle, but it never left me. And when none of the other lands would accept me, this place blessed me with sanctuary. So now, I find peace in the pulse of the hustle. And if there's beef, my peeps on the double follow my war cries. Brat, war paint, tattered and scarred with reminders of the price of life here. Survive your first 25 here, and you're suddenly humbled by the madness and majesty, the sadness and tragedy of this breakneck, economical, tropical ecstasy. Walk the path of light. It grows like right next to me. And together we will learn to rise above the canopy, and the anarchy, and the insanity. A beautiful place we call home. Thank y'all. And word, yeah, I live in Santa Cruz also. You're totally invited to come down to Santa Cruz. Poetry happens down there too. Peace and love.
Thank you so much. Our next poet in the open mic is Bill Crossman, who's been doing solidarity work for at least 50 years.
Deep gratitude to our Haiti Action Committee comrades for organizing this powerful event today, and to our esteemed revolutionary poets, and also to Val Sarant, who speaks revolutionary poetry through his musical instruments.
Ready to go? Ready to go? Or like in about what?
At US imperialism's core, perpetual war. I said, at US imperialism's core, perpetual war. Help me here. At US imperialism's core, yes. In our hearts today, of course, Haiti and Palestine are beating strongly, but 50 years ago this year, 1973, there was a profound world historical event. And it looks like some of you with this color hair were very involved with that. And that was the signing of the Paris Peace Accords that announced and declared that the US had lost what we call the Vietnam War, and that the Vietnamese called the American War. So I'm going to read a poem today. Some of you are in that poem. And actually, I brought some props that are also in that poem.
Ho Chi Minh.
There's your struggle, there's your win.
Oh, did you call my name? Wait, here I am. This is from my book, War in America. Haiphong Harbor mined, irrigation dikes bombed. We march up Market Street in Army surplus jackets, jeans, boots, sandals, tank tops, turtlenecks, berets, lapels full of buttons, police motorcycles buzzing us, trying to limit us to 3 lanes to keep us from taking 6. Miranda, 9 years old, walks with me, sees a portrait on a banner flapping beside us, points and shouts, "Madam Bin!" Asks if I knew her mom, Mona, hugged Madam Bin in Vancouver, British Columbia. If I knew Madam Bin hasn't seen her husband for 20 years, fighting on different fronts. And if I thought Madam Bin misses him. Police cordon can't hold us back. We push out into all 6 lanes. 30 feet to our right, a cop curbs his Harley, dismounts, runs to the other cops huddled around their captain. I smell gasoline. Thick smoke stings our eyes. Flames fanned by breezes are blackening the Harley. It falls over in the street and cooks. We yell, clap our hands, whistle. Spirits jump, drums beating out rhythms of chants, echo of off Market Street high-rises, sound of flags we carry slapping air, blue and red with gold star, 500 yards to rally site. We reach Civic Center Plaza. I grip Miranda's hand tighter. Police cycles, horses surround us. A SWAT squad advances down City Hall steps toward us. Military formation, green-faced visors down, rectangular plastic shields, black batons, flak jackets. We check with Miranda and the other children about moving further back. Miranda gives my hand a squeeze. Want to hear a poem I just wrote? She asks. She recites, "Ho, ho, Ho Chi Minh, I ho, ho, hope you win." We jostle to a stop, bunch up, our front line of marchers blocked at the SWAT line. A huge shout goes up in front and swells back through our ranks. People are pointing. We look up. The Stars and Stripes is being lowered on a pole. The blue and red with gold star raised in its place. Miranda and I shout, lift our clasped hands in the air and chant together, "Ho, ho, Ho Chi Minh, We hope you win. The lesson of the American War, the profound lesson that influenced freedom and independence movements in Africa, Asia, and Latin America after the US returned home defeated. The lesson is that a small country of committed, loving people who want independence and freedom can defeat the most powerful military engine nation in the world. Let's never forget that. Oh, sorry.
Thank you, Bill. Oh, be careful. You're quick.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Bill Crossman. And before we go to our next poet, we have a brief announcement from Cynthia Papermaster from Code Pink.
Thank you, Adrienne. Adrienne, you've done a beautiful job tonight, hasn't she? Adrienne, thank you so much. So I'm trying to hold it together because I can't stop thinking about what's going on in Gaza. And I started to cry a little while ago. Thank you, poets, for giving me the space to just be with my thoughts and really feel. So Nancy Pelosi is one of the most powerful people in the United States government. She lives in San Francisco in Pacific Heights. Tomorrow morning, Code Pink and our friends are going to her house. Her office has been closed for almost 3 years, maybe longer. You can't meet with her. And she represents San Francisco, and San Francisco wants a ceasefire. 50,000 people marched in San Francisco. So join us if you'd like. Our flyers on the table. We're going to be there from 9 to noon tomorrow. It's a family-friendly event, children's activities. We'll also picket her. Thank you, Adrienne, for giving me this time. So you're welcome to come up, and we have carpools. Thank you.
Carolyn Scarr, a member of the Haiti Action Committee and the founder of the poetry readings, is not able to be with us here today, but has sent a poem.
She is with us, she's right there on the screen.
Right, but she has asked that our committee read her poem for her. And so Charlie Hinton is prepared to do that. Welcome, Charlie.
Thank you. I also want to thank Carolyn for her tireless work and commitment in organizing these poetry readings and for all that she has done for so many years. Yeah. This is called Invoking the Flood, Port-au-Prince. Sudden rain descends upon our dining room, outside our dining room. Drops the size of thimbles strike the courtyard awning in rackety thunder. People run to bring cushions in from chairs, take down clothes from the line, shut windows. Runoff from the brief downpour converges on the city below, built on the dump. The child care center is knee-deep in brown water. Mud and garbage flow in a filthy slurry from surrounding suburbs down to Cité Soleil, the city of the sun. A wall surrounds the city of toil, where people slaved for $1 a day in cavernous buildings, now echoing empty. In the brief rain, unsound foundations crumble. The wall goes down, crushes lean-to shacks. 5 people die. Laws of gravity reverse. Water flow uphill. Cleanse of filth the city of darkness. Purify each crack and corner of this city of greed. Wash clean our lives. Prepare us to build a city of light. Thank you.
Thank you, Charlie and Carolyn. Our next poetry reading here is a poem being read by another member of the Haiti Action Committee, David Welsh. And I'm not sure who the poet is, but they will announce it.
Hello, everybody. I have two poems of human struggle written by Dan Georgiakis from Detroit, Michigan. And he passed away a couple of years ago, but he had a lifetime of struggle. And he is the author of a book called Detroit, I Do Mind Dying. It's about the League of Revolutionary Black Workers. The first poem: let a brute whip lash a dog, and all the furies of righteous indignation descend upon the culprit's head. But let a way of life numb whole sectors of mankind, and only half-stroked thoughts of something should be done are nodded over tea. Now, so late, we only hope that others dare these things we thought too bold. That's the first poem. The second poem is called Harlem 1964. Crime's the final bastion of the soul. In twilight time, when hope has frayed and desperation's crush nears suffocation, the blunted soul calls out her last reserve in a single well-lit act. She seeks not only recompense in ratio to her wounds, but voice with which to speak her eye. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Thank you, David Welsh. We said it was going to be from 3 to 5. It's now 4 minutes to 5. This is the right time to close this reunion, and thank you all very much for coming and for sharing all of your wonderful thoughts.